Oh, we're going with it. Okay. All right.
Give me some there, Ms. Rabbit.
And good morning! Yeah, let's hear it, folks. I am MC on the Rail with the Slaughterhouse Derby Girls, and I want to welcome each and every one of you to the 2014 Mayday Mayhem Tournament. All right, you guys have made the long trips to get here. We are going to get this started and kicking it off in the right kind of fashion. I'm going to keep it short and simple. I'm going to turn it over. If everybody, we got all teams here, everybody please remove your headgear and let's go ahead and get our national anthems taken care of. As we go throughout the weekend, obviously thank you all of our skating officials, non-skating officials, all the other volunteers that make this happen. Our amazing crew of announcers, folks that came in just to call your game. So let's give it up for everybody that's volunteering. Awesome, thank you so much. And we got headgear removed. Give it to us, Nate.
Read it back. Middle one. Three.
to your tracks. Let's get some equipment checks taken care of, folks. Let's kick off Mayday Mayhem 2014.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
We're going to get Mayday Mayhem started this morning. Arc Valley High Rollers up against the West Texas Roller Dolls. My name is Scar Trek, skater and announcer for the Rocky Mountain Roller Girls.
And I'm Professor D, and we're here today, and we'd like to welcome everybody to Mayday Mayhem.
Mayday is happening this year at the Ranch Events Complex, and that's up in Loveland, Colorado. The Ranch is Northern Colorado's premier events complex, hosting all kinds of events and regional trade shows. And that's where the tournament will be this weekend. We have 2 tracks here on track 1. I believe the first game getting underway.
We've got the Arc Valley High Rollers against the West Texas Roller Dolls, and why don't we start out with rosters? Scar Trek, who do we have playing for Arc Valley?
Arc Valley, hailing from Chaffee County, Colorado. We have number 1000, Smasher to Smithereens. Number 13, Soccer Balls. Number 15, Charlie Bronson. Number 2, Mary Skankster. Number 217, Anita Hidabitch. Number 30, Shook Me All Night. 40, Queen Lavicha. Number 420, Natty Dread. 454, Lead Betty. Number 5, Zoom Flume. 63, Killer Bee. 710, Pain in the Bass. 711, Nacho Sleaze. And 723, Strawberry Stomp Cake.
And for the West Texas Roller Dolls, we have a number 0, Scary Go Round, 1013, Ms. 0, 11, Dream Eraser, number 13, Shadow Smith, number 143, Bam Bam Blocker, number 206, Bombshell Bone, number 519, Jukum Jess, number 55, Wild Wookie, number 67, Randy Reckless, number 777, Scarlet Renegade, number 88, Sour Patch, number 99, Iron Fist Ghost, and rounding out the roster for the West Texas Roller Dolls, we have number 913, Miss Innocent.
This is, of course, a WTRD.
So coming into this game, it looks like we have a couple of records available to us. In sanctioned play this year, 2014, the Arc Valley High Rollers have gone 5-2. So they've taken wins over Castle Rock, Cherry City, Rainier, Durango, and Pueblo. Only losses this year are to Calgary and Junction City, and that's in sanctioned play.
So we've got the 30-second whistle has been blown out there, and we have lining up for Arc Valley. First, it looks like on the jammer line is Dream Eraser. Oh, I'm sorry, for West Texas is Dream Eraser.
And that looks like Pain in the Bass for the Arc Valley High Rollers.
And that's my understanding that Pain in the Bass is one of their top jammers, right?
She gets the points. Yeah, she sure does. It's been doing that since 2010. So yeah, I was lucky enough way back when this league was just getting started, the Arc Valley High Rollers, I was lucky enough to get to scrimmage them, and I was mentioning to Prof D that a lot of the girls still remain on the charter from way back then. So this is a tight-knit group of players, and they've been practicing hard together for 4 years.
All right, and a single whistle starts the jam. Oh, we don't. We've got number 143 out there. Bam Bam Blocker is the lead jammer, and for West Texas, and she is out for the lead. Pain in the Bass clears the front of the pack as Bam Bam Blocker runs through and grabs a one-scoring pass there for 4 points and calls off the jam.
Pain in the Bass got drawn back a little bit on her initial pass, had to recycle all the way back past the jammer line and start her initial pass again. So Bam Bam Blocker able to push her way through that pack and pick up the points.
So who do we have on the line this time, Scar Trek, for?
You know, we have a bit of a bad angle. Sorry, fans. We'll definitely be able to read the jammers out for you by corner 1, but it's a little hard to see them.
Both jammers are heading towards the middle. There goes the Arc Valley jammer around the outside.
Number 5, Zoom Flume. No, number 15, Charlie Bronson.
Yeah, Charlie Bronson is in right behind Dream Eraser right now, who is the jammer this time. She runs up there. Both teams on their scoring pass
I think, yep, Charlie Bronson slipped through there, sneaked in 4 points. Quick jump of the apex over there in corner 2.
And 1 point for Dreamy Racer on that pass.
So that's going to bring the score to 5 for West Texas and 4 for Ark Valley. Just about a minute and a half into this game.
Payne in the Bass wearing the star once again for Ark Valley.
Mayday Mayhem, welcome to Loveland, Colorado. Ranch Advanced Complex. Colorado's premier.
Looks like one in the box for West Texas. That's the pivot number 13, Shadow Smith. She is standing, though.
Jamming for West Texas. I think that's Bombshell Bone up there, but it doesn't make any difference right now because Payne in the Bass is out first, and she's your lead jammer. Yes, Bombshell Bone is trying to make her way around the outside and now back towards the middle.
She's getting some business from Smasher to Smithereens there in the front.
Payne in the Bass on her first scoring pass, and she gets all 5 points. West Texas jammer still not being able to get through yet.
One last hit from Nacho Sleaze, but she is out on her initial pass.
And Payne in the Bass calls off that jam after scoring another 4 points on that pass, a 0 for West Texas.
That's going to bring Ark Valley up to 13 points. West Texas holding at 5. And now West Texas with 2 in the box. So it's going to be a huge pack advantage out there for the Ark Valley High Rollers.
Early penalties are definitely taking their toll here on West Texas. Maybe it's just going to take them a little bit of time to get close, but I guess Iron Fist Ghost thought she was in the box, but now has taken the track. And jamming for Ark Valley, number 5 is Zoom Flume. Number 777, Scarlet Renegade, is jamming for West Texas. Neither of those jammers are able to get through, both being pushed out of bounds. Number 5, Zoom Flume, has a little bit more traction, but she gets pushed out of bounds on the inside. Scarlet Renegade is going to try to make another pass of it. She goes around, outside, cuts to the inside, and a 777 Scarlet Renegade is your lead jammer.
Zoom Flume with a nice move to the inside.
Absolutely. Zoom Flume is not going to let her get too far ahead. Scarlet Renegade on her first scoring pass tries to slide through the inside, gets pushed out of bounds, and calls off the jam before the Ark Valley jammer can hit the back of the pass. 0 points for both teams on that pass.
It's a lot of work for nothing in that jam.
Ark Valley has got their pivot Nacho Sleaze in the penalty box, so they're going to be starting short. Pack advantage for West Texas that has not finished fielding all of their blockers yet. All right, before the whistle, they do get 4 on the floor. And
that's Bam Bam Blocker jamming for West Texas.
Bam Bam Blocker for West Texas, and is that Payne in the Bass? Yeah, Payne in the Bass for Ark Valley.
So this is a repeat of jam number 1, except Payne in the Bass taking lead this time.
Payne in the Bass does get out, but we've got Bam Bam Blocker is hot on her heels. Payne in the Bass trying to assess whether to call it off before she hits the back of the pack, and she uses that strategy because they are ahead right now, so she doesn't chance trying to take any points.
Yep, 13-5, still on the scoreboard. The period time at 25:08, counting down between the jam here. And I think one thing's worth mentioning, I think an extra element in all of the games this weekend is going to be this concrete floor. I can tell already by the skaters' body language that there's a little bit of, trying to rein that speed in and keep control on this slick, polished concrete floor. So something to watch out for. But.
Definitely, that floor definitely looks a little bit slippery. So we've got number 11 Dreamy Racer jamming for West Texas.
And that's number 5 Zoom Flume for Ark Valley.
And there goes Dream Eraser, and she is out front fast on her first initial pass. She gets out. 3 blockers to beat by Zoom Flume. Not able to do it. The first scoring pass there by Dream Eraser. She runs into a huge wall of white in the back. She's trying to assess right now when to call that jam off, and she does. Let's see the points up there. A 0 for Ark Valley, 2 points for West Texas.
Ark Valley looks like they're using that kind of tornado blocking, lots of turning around, working together, hearing lots of communication even here from the broadcast table. So looks like their defense is going to be the name of the game today.
Yeah, I think it's things are starting off a little bit slowly with this 11 a.m. start here for this tournament. It looks like everybody's trying to work the cobwebs out. We've got Wild Wookie number 55 for West Texas, and she has started inverted, but that does not stop Payne in the bass. She is out on the inside, and she is going around. We've got number 206, Bombshell Bone, jamming for West Texas. She finally beats number 1,000, smashing her to smithereens to get out. Scoring pass, Payne in the bass, it goes through, and she calls off the jam after scoring 4 points.
Payne in the bass just with amazing agility, just stepping right, stepping left, barely taking a hit as she moves through that pack. Really expert moves from the veteran of Ark Valley High Rollers.
She was definitely able to exploit that inside line on that time. She had a clear path through there, and she was able to take it and turn on the speed. So let's see, we've got jamming this time.
Number 777, Scarlet Renegade for West Texas.
Scarlet Renegade for West Texas, and Scarlet Renegade. Well, she is out first as she has Nacho Sleaze to path.
Charlie Bronson takes a big fall in turn number 2, but she's back up and trying for her initial pass.
Yes, Charlie Bronson jamming for Ark Valley. Scarlet Renegade jumps through on the inside, and she is trying to erase some of that deficit as she pulls out 3 points, gets no pass, no penalty on that pass.
Charlie Bronson still working on that initial. She's taking a lot of heat from the West Texas blockers.
West Texas has really started turning on the heavy blocking. They're able to push her out of bounds on the outside, so Charlie Bronson, oh no, the blocker that pushed her out has got a penalty.
Charlie thought that she could come back in because of the penalty that was assessed, but it looks like all the West Texas blockers were behind her, so she did pick up a cut.
Yep.
Ark Valley High Roller jammer in the box.
Yep, West Texas in the penalty box as well. That releases Charlie Bronson.
Quick turnaround on that. Number 777 already standing and now released from her brief penalty.
We're going to have both jammers back on the track here very shortly.
No pack is called. Charlie Bronson still working her way through, and she makes it. Initial pass completed.
Scarlet Renegade having a hard time getting past the Ark Valley blockers. This time she gets drugged back around turn 4 as Charlie Bronson is able to make it through, and she is scoring up 5 points on that pass.
Big hit from number 1,000, smasher to smithereens. She can really lay the hurt down.
Nacho Sleaze given the last block out there before out of play to Scarlet Renegade. And Charlie Bronson takes a huge hit out there by number 00. That's scary go round.
Charlie is in the pack though, picking up points, and she completes her first scoring pass. Let's see what she got. Looks like 4 on that.
And 2 minutes will end that jam.
That's going to bring the score for Ark Valley up to 26. For West Texas Roller Dollz, it's going to be 13. 20 minutes, 37 seconds left in the first period of this game. This first game of Mayday Mayhem 2014. Thanks so much for joining us.
We have Bam Bam Blocker on the line for West Texas, and wearing the star out there for Ark Valley is that number 5? Yeah, that's number 5, Zoom Flume, and Zoom Flume takes off around the outside. Zoom Flume is your lead jammer.
Bam Bam Blocker working on the 4 wall of Ark Valley in the front.
Bam Bam Blocker taking on the last blocker for Ark Valley, and she's able to get out as Zoom Flume comes around on her first scoring pass. She flies around the outside and calls off that jam.
Beautiful offense by the Ark Valley High Rollers. They set up a nice screen on the outside line, gave a clear path for number 5, Zoom Flume, to pick up those points and call off the jam. So well played.
Absolutely, and West Texas out there, they lost Ms. 0 to a penalty there right at the end of that jam. So they're going to start with 2 blockers on the track, and Ark Valley is going to be up to full strength with Killer B and Natty Dreadlock, both inverted at the beginning of this jam. Oh, and there goes Payne in the bass, and she is able to slide that pie right on the inside.
She's done that a couple of times.
She has
so
indeed.
far.
She's exploited that inside line very well. But there goes Dreamy Racer, and she is a super fast jammer, and she is going to be very quickly catching up with Payne in the bass, who slides around 2 of the West Texas blockers before she's able to call off the jam from out of bounds.
If you're tuning in from outside of Colorado, you might not know exactly where the Ark Valley High Rollers come from, they're kind of located way up into the mountains, and one of the things that they have in their advantage is that they practice and play at about 7,000 feet elevation. So they're about 2,000 feet higher in their home venue than they are here, giving them a big advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. This high altitude definitely takes a toll on these teams. So we've got the single whistle starting the jam there as number 15, Charlie Bronson for Ark Valley, gets out, and she is lead jammer. Number 206, Bombshell Bone, is jamming for West Texas. She gets pushed down but not out, is able to get back up. She is still on her initial pass as Charlie Bronson goes through. I see the officials signaling for a clockwise block there on Nacho Sleaze, and now a multiplayer block is being called, and that will send one of the Ark Valley blockers to the box as well.
It's going to be Smasher taking a seat.
Charlie Bronson tries to get around on the outside.
Ark Valley really showing a lot of agility in their blocking crew, a lot of backwards skating and great lateral movement.
Absolutely. All right, and there goes Bombshell Bone. She has escaped at the front of that pack, and she is not the lead jammer. Number 15, Charlie Bronson for Ark Valley, decides to call off that jam with plenty of space after scoring 3 points on the last pass.
Another fun fact about Ark Valley, they're so named because that area of Colorado is known here as the Arkansas River Valley. So that's a famous area, beautiful. I don't know if you've ever been there, Prof. D, but beautiful mountains, amazing nature, wildlife. It's also known for a big prison, actually, here, that area. But
well, maybe they're able to do some prison release for some ladies and they want to get into roller derby. This would be a good team for them to join up with. So we have, again, Pain in the Bass jamming for Ark Valley. And we've got Scarlet Renegade, and she is out first, but she is not lead jammer.
Pain in the Bass pushing at one more blocker in the front. That's scary go round, but she does get by.
Pain in the Bass makes it out, is designated a lead, and immediately calls it off.
Good
as
heads up play.
Scarlet Renegade is on her scoring pass, and she gets 2 out of that one.
So I didn't see why Scarlet didn't grab lead on that one.
I believe there was a no pass, no penalty in there as they were banging around in the middle of that pack. She did not.
It has been a physical game for being the first game of the morning here at Mayday Mayhem.
Yeah, absolutely. And West Texas is doing pretty good trying to make up their deficit. But they're starting out. They've got Shadow Smith. She started inverted. They're starting away from the jammer line a little bit. We don't have
about halfway up to the pivot line.
They're starting their defense up there in sort of a box formation in the front with Shadow Smith quarterbacking that formation that they've got up there.
So I should go to the next website.
And so I heard the whistles blow. Was that an official timeout, or did
I thought so?
I don't see anybody signaling. But the officials are definitely out there consulting to see if they can figure out what's going on. It's given West Texas an opportunity to set up this defense that they've got here. Like I said, being quarterbacked by Shadow Smith in the front. We have jamming Zoom Flume, number 5 for Ark Valley. And I believe that's a Bam Bam Blocker out there jamming for West Texas. Yep, Bam Bam Blocker pushes her head through. Bam Bam Blocker is lead jammer for West Texas. Zoom Flume stuck behind the pack. Zoom Flume makes it around on the inside, and she is going to speed up and see if she can catch Bam Bam Blocker. Bam Bam Blocker flies through the pack and calls off that jam. She's able to pass 3 of the Ark Valley blockers on that pass.
Clockwise block at the end of that jam by number 13, Shadow Smith for West Texas. Going to send her to the box, and that's going to create a huge pack advantage for Ark Valley. They do have 1 in the box, but now 3 for West Texas.
Yeah, Smash the Smithereens is in the box and standing, and we have a full 3 blocker penalty box for West Texas.
We have an official timeout.
All right, we've got an official timeout. While the officials talk about what's going on here, they want to make sure that they get everything squared away. So I have not been able to see the number of penalties here today, but it seems to me that starting out, Scar Trek, that West Texas is getting in penalty trouble early on in this game, and it's going to be difficult for them to come from behind, make up this deficit when they when they're in penalty trouble.
To put 2 points on the board and then call off the jam.
Yeah, and it hasn't been too many power jams, though. That is one thing. I think the one power jam we saw was a quick swap out.
Yep.
So this game really isn't being won by the power jam. It's more the one and done kind of quick call-offs that is leading Ark Valley to the lead. 35 points for them, 18 for West Texas with 15 minutes left in the half. The clock is stopped for this official timeout.
Yep, that's what we've been seeing. We've been seeing the lead jammer getting out, scoring. Oh, and they're around the outside, pain in the bass, easily able to jump past the two West Texas blockers. But Dream Eraser, who is a super fast blocker for West Texas, is able to get out. Pain in the bass flies through on another scoring pass, calls off the jam before Dream Eraser can hit the back of the pack. 4 more points, and they're chipping it away 4 at a time.
With Ark Valley's half of the box cleared out now, it's going to be a 4-on-2 pack advantage at the beginning of this jam. West Texas still struggling with these penalties. In the short jams, it means that blockers are sitting in the box, for more than one jam at a time. It's really putting them at an advantage at the jam start each time. So,
wearing the star once again for Ark Valley is number 15, Charlie Bronson, and she is jamming up against a Bam Bam blocker for West Texas. And Charlie Bronson from the outside, but she gets caught in number 55. Wild Wookie puts a big hit on her, and she gets out, and it looks like Ark Valley's going to have a power jam.
Bam Bam blocker called for a cut. Looks like her foot just went over the line on what looked like a pretty sweet move to get around on the outside line.
Yeah, absolutely. That was one of those moves that was either going to make it or break it.
Right. 5 points already for the Ark Valley jammer on this one.
Yep, Charlie Bronson is flying around the track as they're setting up. Wild Wookie trying to get some hits on her, and we've got Shadow Smith up there. They have to let her go before out of play. So just as we were saying that they're chipping away at this 4 points at a time, here comes the big power jam. Ark Valley is racking up a ton of points on this pass. Bam Bam blocker released from the penalty box, comes up against a 4-wall, but makes pretty quick work of 2 of them. Has to pass 2 more.
She really looks like a strong jammer.
Yeah, absolutely. She's a strong and fast jammer. She's able to get out there before Queen Labicha has to let her go. Charlie Bronson calls off the jam, scores 4 more points, and that's going to be 0 for Bam Bam blocker on that pass.
Looks like we got a team timeout to West Texas, and I think that's probably a good idea. The score has really exploded on Ark Valley's side. They're sitting at 58 now, 18 for West Texas, and we're just a little under halfway through this first half, a little over halfway through the first half, I should say.
Even with the 30-second penalties, we're seeing that the power jam still has a huge effect on the point score. And these teams are getting used to the new rules where we have 30-second penalties, and it has cut down a lot of the power jam scoring, but here it really seems that it's still a major factor, especially when you've got blockers in the box too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, these Ark Valley jammers really require a strong defense, and if you only have 2 girls out there, it's a little bit harder to mount the kind of defense that's going to hold them back. So I think that's been the main problem for West Texas so far. Hopefully they can adjust to this reffing crew, keep their blockers out on the track, and bring this differential down a little bit. And looks like they have a great attitude on the bench doing their team cheer. They're still in this too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They definitely don't have a deficit that they can't come back from. And the thing I'm seeing that they're not, it doesn't seem to be, without having the penalties here in front of me, it doesn't seem to be that they're getting called on one particular type of penalty. It seems like they're kind of all over the place really with their penalties. So we have Scary Go Round out there in front, and she is going to be guiding the West Texas defense.
I believe number 777, Scarlet Renegade, is up to jam for West Texas.
Scarlet Renegade for West Texas, and we've got, is that Pain in the Bass once again jamming for Ark Valley?
Number 5, Zoom Flume.
Number 5, Zoom Flume. She's flighting through the, she's got a 2-wall up in the front. She's pushing them, is able to get around on the inside. Zoom Flume is your lead jammer.
just after.
But there is a Scarlet Renegade right behind her, forcing her to call off the jam. 0 points for either team on that jam.
Call off the jam.
I want to let you know about Sticker Giant. Sticker Giant is purveyor of custom stickers, official sticker company of Colorado Sports TV. You can check them out at www.stickergiant.com. If you use the code RollerDerby at checkout, you're going to get 10% off of your order. That's stickergiant.com.
I've seen some of those stickers that those guys produce. They're fabulous.
They're
do
high quality.
A great job,
Yeah.
absolutely. So the single whistle is going to start this next jam. We have out there number 11, Dreamy Racer for West Texas, and she tries to take the lead, but she has pushed out of bounds up in the front of that pack. Number 30 for the first time wearing the star, and that's going to be Shook Me All Night for Ark Valley, and she has a hard time getting around, but she finally gets out. Dreamy Racer on her scoring pass. She hits the back of that pack, and she decides to call off the jam before number 30, Shook Me All Night, can get up there and score points. So we've got 1 point for Dream Eraser.
It's going to bring them up to 19. Ark Valley still sitting at 58 points. 11 minutes, 30 seconds left in this first period.
No players in the box from either team. We're going to have a 5-on-5 jam out here.
Approaching 11 minutes left in this first half.
Looks like Payne in the Bass taking the star for the Ark Valley High Rollers. And looking for that Texas jammer.
I can't see her either from our...
I think she's stuck in all that defense at the front.
Yeah, absolutely, but she is in the front indeed. We've got Killer B inverted, and she's pushing on Lead Betty, and she stops the jammer there. Oh, that's number 206. That's Bombshell Bone. She's pushing in the front of that pack. She's trying to force them out of play. Charlie Bronson doing a great job of bridging as they continue to, the West Texas continues to push number 5 Zoom Flume back, and there goes number 206 Bombshell Bone out in front to take lead jam for West Texas. Zoom Flume not getting any traction, and
Lead Betty and Killer B really holding down some tough defense in the back.
Bombshell Bone hits Charlie Bronson's elbow. Charlie Bronson is going out on that penalty. And Zoom Flume continues to get recycled as she's hitting this West Texas defense. And there goes the West Texas jammer inside, gets pushed inside, decides that she wants to call off the jam, scores 3 points on that pass.
So West Texas, with a little bit of momentum here, I think that was a well-timed timeout. They're up to 22 points on the scoreboard against 58 still for Ark Valley. So they've held Ark Valley scoreless for a couple of jams now.
They have. They've definitely been readjusting their strategy. You can see that they're using a lot of inverted blocking right off the line. They have been trying to take the front, but Ark Valley has the front this time. But even though, yep, they started inverted, Shadow Smith is out there. Both the jammers juking around in the back of that pass. Who's going to make it out first? It was going to be Payne in the Bass, but she gets pushed out of bounds on the inside. We've got Bam Bam Blocker banging away there in the middle as well, and Payne in the Bass finally makes it, and she is out to be your lead jammer. Bam Bam Blocker has a 1 blocker to beat, and she is able to do it as number 1000 Smasher to Smithereens gets called out on a blocking out of play penalty. And we have Payne in the Bass calling it off, scoring 2 points, but Bam Bam Blocker turned on the speed, and she was able to outscore her by
a late call off.
And another 2. Yeah, absolutely. She was out there. She turned on the speed right at the end of that jam, Scar Trek, and she was able to pull 4 points out of there. Oh, but now we're having a readjustment by the refs. It looks like 3 points were scored by Ark Valley on that pass.
Bam Bam Blocker taking the star for West Texas. Oh no, is that?
Oh, I can't tell. I'll be able to tell you in a second. No, Dreamy Racer for West Texas. And she is able to slide around on the inside, and she gets out there.
Now, Charlie Bronson has just taken a penalty that every skater hates.
Yep.
It was a misconduct penalty, and what happened there was that someone was on the ground in front of her. She tripped on the girl in front of her and put her hands down on the girl's back, and that's an automatic misconduct penalty. So she's going to be headed to the box, making this a power jam for West Texas.
And this power jam may be what West Texas needs. Dream Eraser coming up against a tough inverted 3 wall at the front of that pack. Number 13, Soccer Balls, tries to give her that last punch out of bounds, but is not able to make it. 5-point pass for Dream Eraser, and now they are getting this power jam that they need to erase the deficit. Dream Eraser pushed out of bounds on the outside by Nacho Sleaze. They're able to drag her all the way back from turn 1 all the way back to the beginning of turn 4, and Dream Eraser decides to call off that jam.
Yeah, she's going to preserve that power start for her team into the next jam, so a great heads-up play. Once she did get dragged back like that, you don't want to waste the rest of the power jam on the same pass. So I think that was a good call. And who's out to jam next? Going to be some fresh legs for West Texas.
Yeah, West Texas out there is fielding.
Starting out in a power jam.
It's so hard to see these girls from this angle.
So anybody who's watching on Colorado Sports TV right now, the angle that you guys have on your feed is the same angle that we have. So we have a hard time seeing names or numbers, but that's number 777, Scarlet Renegade. Tries to go onto the inside, but she gets pushed out of bounds by a Killer Bee.
Charlie Bronson back in play now.
Charlie Bronson gets out from the penalty box, and she attains lead jammer as Scarlet Renegade pushed through, and she is finally out of the pack.
Pushing through.
Ark Valley resets, and Charlie Bronson calls off the jam.
Just about 6 minutes, 20 seconds left in this first half. The score is 62 for Ark Valley, 36 for West Texas.
Charlie Bronson able to get 1 point out of that pass before calling off the jam. So we definitely have seen some adjustments because West Texas is not in the penalty box.
That's right. Yeah, they've really adjusted to the style of reffing or made whatever play adjustments that they needed to and really cleaned the game up. And you can see it in the scoreboard. They're gaining on the Ark Valley High Rollers.
Bam Bam Blocker jamming once again for West Texas, and she gets a little bit of advantage out there, and she's going to have to fight that 4-wall of Ark Valley while we got Pain in the Bass in the back, just getting pummeled by West Texas blockers. And Bam Bam Blocker, she gets through. Bam Bam Blocker is lead jammer. Pain in the Bass cannot get past there, but she is finally able to wait long enough for those blockers to move and slides around the outside. Bam Bam Blocker comes through very quickly. Some players went down, but with a legal hit, and is able to get through there. 4 points for West Texas. And they are chipping away Ark Valley's lead, aren't they, Scartrite?
They sure are. And I mentioned Ark Valley's sanction record this year, 5-2 wins in their favor. For West Texas, it looks like they're 1-1 this year for sanctioned play. So this is going to be maybe a little bit of a debut for their season, this tournament, and it's great to see them here.
We've got Jukum Jess, and she is leading the defense for West Texas as she is looking to see which way that Ark Valley jammer is going.
Dream Eraser taking the start for West Texas on this one.
Ooh, and Zoom Flume takes the outside, and she is able to get around. One more blocker to beat. That's number 5-5, Wild Wookie, and she's able to beat her. She gets out there, Zoom Flume for lead jammer, but there is Dream Eraser, who is super fast. If you folks could see this live, you would see exactly how fast Dream Eraser is out there.
She did put the burners on. 1 point for Ark Valley, 0 for West Texas on that one.
Only awarded 1 point for her effort as we approach.
It's bringing Ark Valley up to 63, West Texas at 40 with just 4 minutes left in the first half.
So close, you're putting the pressure on. Those two jammers are so close together, approaching that back. That's the gamble. Rather than go ahead and take your points if you can and stop it. It failed earlier. I think it did okay.
So we've got Smasher 2 Smithereens is leading the defense there for Ark Valley. Both jammers try for the inside. Scarlet Renegade jamming for West Texas. Gets a little more traction, and she's up against, finds a hole around the inside, and Scarlet Renegade is out to be lead jammer, but Pain in the Bass is going to get up there, and she is going to pass her.
Pain in the Bass with a lot of speed that she can turn on when it is called for. So she shuts that one down, and
yeah, West Texas behind, so they want to get the jam called off and save some time on the clock so that they can continue to eat this deficit.
West Texas, but it's pretty much stayed close to that.
Clear box still. It's going to be 5-on-5 on the track for this one.
Bam Bam Blocker jamming for West Texas. And Bam Bam Blocker gets out first to the front of that pack where she has to fight that 4-wall. Ark Valley bridging 3 jammers to beat, now 2. Bam Bam Blocker beats the,
elbow penalty to the West Texas jammer, Bam Bam Blocker. She's going to sit down for 30 seconds.
Bam Bam Blocker was just about to make it out too when she threw that elbow. So we're going to have a power jam here for Ark Valley. Number 5, Zoom Flume, has still not been able to get out. She has been taking a beating there, and she's getting recycled all the way back and drug past turn 4.
Ark Valley looking for some offense to help Zoom Flume through, and she does make it out on her initial pass, picking up lead jammer.
Zoom Flume looking at her first scoring pass, but we've got Bam Bam Blocker standing up in the penalty box already. All right, we've got an elbow there, I believe.
A cutting penalty for Zoom Flume, an elbow to Scary Go Round.
Go Round. So now we are going to go the full 2 minutes, and we've got Bam Bam Blocker out there, and now she is eligible to score. West Texas setting up the passive offense. We've got a 4-wall by Ark Valley. Bam Bam Blocker hits it hard, tries to go to the inside, is not able to make it, almost cuts the track and decides that she wants to get back behind the rest of those blockers. She's throwing Wild Wookie up there for some offense. Not able to help her though. Ooh, and Bam Bam Blocker looks like she is going to get called out for a back block as she knocks one of the Ark Valley blockers down. Meanwhile, Zoom Flume back on the track. And she is also eligible to score, and on a scoring pass is able to slide in there. And I'm not sure if she passed 3 blockers there on that pass or if some of those were left over from the penalty box. But nevertheless, Ark Valley gets 3 on that one.
West Texas picked up 2 before Bam Bam Blocker headed to the penalty box. Apparently she had passed 2 of the blockers, and those were awarded here at the end of the jam. Power start now for the Ark Valley squad. It looks like that's Charlie Bronson jamming.
Charlie Bronson goes right up the middle, and she is now facing 2 blockers. That's going to be Ms. Zero. Ooh, Ms. Zero, Scary Go Round have got to let her go, so Charlie Bronson is lead jammer. Ark Valley setting up the passive offense. Oh, but there goes some O.
Mary Skankster ran up to play a little bit of O, distract the West Texas squad, and Charlie Bronson threw for a grand slam.
Yep, Mary Skankster was definitely able to distract those blockers long enough for Zoom Flume to get around. They drag the West Texas jammer back a little bit, but not too far. Whistles are blowing.
Charlie Bronson recycles to try again on the West Texas defense.
Miss Innocent being sent to the penalty box. Charlie Bronson stepping out of bounds.
I think we might have just seen the new cutting rules in action there.
I was just going to say that, Scar Trek. That would have been a cut a few months ago.
1 foot and unintentional, and she immediately got back out of bounds, so that was not called as a cut.
She did indeed.
Great job on the referee crew to see that and adjust to this new rule set that we have in play this year. I think we've moved on to halftime now. Score standing 74 for Ark Valley, 42 for West Texas.
Yeah, so Scar Trek, let's give a quick recap of this game. Ark Valley came in and they started out very tough, taking the lead early on. And then it looks like West Texas came back. They called a team timeout, regrouped, and went from having some really bad penalty trouble into no penalties there to speak of for the rest of that first half, and they ate up a huge lead that Ark Valley had accrued.
They sure did, yeah. The first half of the first half, there were quite a few blocker penalties for West Texas. Second half of this first half of the game, they really cleaned those blocker penalties up. Saw some jammers go to the box, but the defense just really stepped up on West Texas' side, and they've brought this differential down to a way more manageable level at halftime. So now it does kind of play to the rankings here. The current WFTDA rankings for Ark Valley, 131 in in probably the most current rankings. I'm hoping that they're the most recently updated ones. And then West Texas Roller Dollz sitting at 179 in the WTRD rankings. So that's 131 to 179 in the rankings. And so we're kind of seeing that play out in the scoreboard. But West Texas making a good showing here.
No, they absolutely are. West Texas has definitely turned it on, and I think by cleaning up their penalties, it's definitely going to make a difference in the second half. If we can get those penalties down, they've got a fighting chance at getting back in here.
Well, I think we'll give everyone a short break and be back for the second half.
All right.
Sticker Giant helps people make great stickers. I'm John Fisher, and I started the company. Every sticker has a story behind it. Every sticker has something behind it besides just stickiness.
People seem to flock towards stickers no matter what they are all about.
It's a portable billboard. It can go anywhere.
I've seen stickers on little girls' foreheads.
Cars, motorcycles.
Stop signs, we don't endorse that.
Baby bottoms.
I see stickers everywhere. I see stickers in my dreams.
We're a small little group of people, and we all kind of have the same vision for success.
Every person is quality minded, top to bottom. We're about getting the job done right.
The quality of Sticker Giant stickers is really fantastic. We run 3 different materials here. All of them were researched to find the best possible thing we can get.
We can get your email and process your stickers in 24 hours and get them out to you.
We try and do things quickly, we try and do them accurately, and we try and get people the stickers that they want. People ask me what I do, and they go, we make stickers all day. There's this company in rural Boulder County, and all they do is make stickers and labels. What makes Sticker Giant a great sticker? What the customer wants, because we can print any kind of sticker. Every day there's a sticker where I see it, and I just want to know the story behind it. I want to know the company. I want to talk to the owner.
We take people's passions, things that they're really fired up about. We make it over and over and over so those people can tell their story to the world.
So we are back here now at Mayday Mayhem with our first game of the day, where we've got the Ark Valley High Rollers facing off against the West Texas Roller Dollz. And Star Trek, during the halftime, you went and did some research, didn't you, and got the update on some of the penalties.
So we don't have a penalty whiteboard here visible to everyone. We've been secretly tracking penalties throughout the first half, and I can give you some information here. It looks like, just like the score, we're seeing a bit of a differential in the penalty count. White, the Ark Valley High Rollers, currently sitting on 10 major penalties. Purple sitting on 19 total major penalties. So players on Arc Valley, we have 2 sitting with 3 penalties each and 1 with 1. So really only 3 penalized players so far in the Arc Valley squad. For the Purple team, we have 1 in some pretty big trouble with 5 penalties currently in the first half. 1 player with 4 penalties and 2 players sitting on 3 penalties. So we've seen West Texas get into a little bit of penalty trouble, and that's playing out on the stat sheet as well. Team cheer from Arc Valley. It looks like we're about to get back underway for the second half.
Yeah, quick gear check we had here, and now we're lining up. I'm not sure. Looks like the jammer rotation is going to be staying the same for these teams, at least starting out here. We have Payne in the Bass wearing the star for Arc Valley, and then we've got number 11 Dream Eraser on the jammer line for West Texas.
1 in the box for West Texas, so it's going to be 4-on-3 pack advantage to Arc Valley to start off the second half of play.
As the whistle blows, both jammers are banging around at the back of that pack, and there goes Payne in the Bass. She finds a hole and she squirts through that thing, but Dream Eraser is hot on her heels. Payne in the Bass approaches the back of that pack, tries to slide her hips around. Is she able to do it? No. 0 points for both teams on that pass.
So score again, 74 for Arc Valley, 42 for the West Texas Roller Dollz. Both teams with all 3 timeouts here in the second half.
We've got Killer B is up there in front leading the defense for Arc Valley. Can't see the jammers yet, but oh, there goes Bam Bam Blocker. She's jamming for West Texas, but Charlie Bronson around the outside, and there goes Charlie Bronson. She grabs lead for Arc Valley. There is number 30, Shook Me All Night, was bridging very well for Arc Valley, trying to keep Bam Bam Blocker back. She ends up getting recycled, but
Natty Dread, I believe, pulled that cut. Could have been Lead Betty as well, but a really expert move backwards, pulled the cut on Bam Bam Blocker, sent her to the box, giving Charlie another power jam to start the second half out.
Charlie Bronson skates around backwards on the inside and is able to stay inbounds after a hit. So she gets up, stays in, but she gets recycled back. But Arc Valley does not let the West Texas blockers take her all the way back. They decide to let her go. West Texas forms up their defense for the power jam up in the front as 5 points go on the board for Charlie Bronson and Arc Valley. Lead Betty throwing in some offense for Arc Valley as Charlie Bronson slides around on the inside, grabs another 5 points, but here comes Bam Bam Blocker out of the box. She is fighting up against a tough 4-wall in the back, but Bam Bam Blocker powers her way through, and she has completed her initial pass now. And Payne in the Bass calls off the jam.
Charlie Bronson picking up 4 more points on that last pass.
19 points on the board for that power.
Just heard the house announcers say that was a 19-point jam for Charlie Bronson.
Yeah, 19 points, that power jam again. So as soon as West Texas really starts chipping away at that deficit, what we have is a power jam that changes the game again, throwing Arc Valley up there 93 to 42, just increasing their lead. As we have jamming for
Payne in the Bass now, I believe,
yes,
for
Payne
Arc
in the
Valley.
Bass. Okay, yeah, Payne in the Bass is out there for Arc Valley. Scarlet Renegade once again, and she is out in front. Scarlet Renegade in the front of that pack, and Scarlet Renegade is out, and she is your lead jammer. Payne in the Bass is having a hard time with Iron Fist Ghost. Finally tries to take that outside and cut back in. She's out of the pack as Scarlet Renegade is on her first scoring pass. Goes down but stays inbounds, is able to call off that jam. She scores 3 points on that pass.
Nothing on the board for Arc Valley, so another 1 jam for West Texas, 93 to 45 the score now with 26 minutes left in the second period. We're going to...
Yeah, limiting jammer penalties by Arc Valley has really helped them out. They have had a jammer on the track pretty much the entire game, and they're out there either forcing that call off or scoring a bunch of points.
Every single point they're putting on the board.
We've got number 206 of Bombshell Bone jamming for West Texas. Neither jammer able to get any traction, and there goes number 5, Zoom Flume, out around the outside.
Out of play call on that last line of defense, number 13, Shadow Smith.
Yeah, I thought Shadow Smith was going to get an out of play blocking call there at the end of that, but she is able to let her go before she gets there. So Zoom Flume meets the back of that pack, and the West Texas blockers are controlling the back of the pack right now, and they are not letting her through.
Well, number 206 fighting hard at the front, back in corner 3.
She is able to get out as number 40, Queen LaBeacha, goes to the penalty box. Oh, and there is a forearm, I believe, sent the Ark Valley jammer Zoom Flume to the blocks. So we'll see what Bombshell Bone can do with this power jam. She's fighting hard up against Smasher 2 Smithereens, who
and
ends
pivot
up
Nacho Sleeves, always holding down the defense in the front, it seems.
And a high block for Nacho Sleeve. This is the first time we've seen the penalty box filled with Ark Valley players. So they get a little desperate out there as Bombshell Bone tries to beat her way through. Zoom Flume released from the box. There is no lead jammer any longer, so this jam is going to go the full 2 minutes as Bombshell Bone gets around and scores a 5-point pass.
Just over 10 seconds left in this jam to pick up some points.
Smasher 2 Smithereens is released as Zoom Flume gets through, and she gets 4 points for Ark Valley, and another 4 points is scored for Bombshell Bone and West Texas.
So West Texas came away with the positive differential in that it was on that jam 4 to 14 in favor of West Texas. So they really brought their score a little bit closer in that jam. Total standing at 97 for Ark Valley, 59 for West Texas Roller Dolls.
Not only were they able to capitalize on the power jam, but they were also able to send 2 of those blockers to the box that allowed their jammer to a little bit easier get around, because when they've got all their blockers on the track, Ark Valley is tough, but not tough enough to stop Dream Eraser from sliding through for West Texas as your lead jammer. We see number 30 back there jamming Shook Me All Night, not being able to get through as Dream Eraser comes through on her scoring pass. Shook Me All Night just now escaping the front of that pass as a Dream Eraser gets out.
One thing I noticed about Ark Valley is that they really play a lot of offense, whether it's just one player who's dedicated to offense in the pack for each jam, or whether it's all 4 blockers kind of transitioning as one, setting up a huge clear, creating lanes for their jammers. It's really become a strong dynamic in this game, the offense that Ark Valley is playing.
Yeah, absolutely, and what they've been doing it has been working. Obviously, you can see that by the score.
For putting this fun together.
We've got number 5, Zoom Flume, jamming once again for Ark Valley, and number 143, Bam Bam Blocker, jamming again for West Texas.
She's really getting dragged back by some expert bridging on the part of Ark Valley.
Absolutely. She tries to wait for that out of play call and finally gets it and re-enters, gets pushed out of bounds on the inside.
Nice hit by Lead Betty, sends Bam Bam to the inside.
And Zoom Flume is in there. Oh, we got a high block by number 99, Iron Fist Ghost for West Texas. She's going out. And a forearm is going to take Killer B out of bounds, so both teams are going to have blockers in the box. The penalties are starting to fly now, Star Trek. There goes number 913. That's Miss Innocent. She's going to be going. That
was a pack destruction call. There was a no pack called over in turn 2, but neither team really made that effort to reform. So
Zoom Flume able to get 4 points on that pass. It's going to be 0 for West Texas.
Let's bring in the score for Ark Valley past the century mark. They're now at 101 to West Texas's 63. 21 minutes, 15 seconds left in the second period.
Bringing that differential back up, 38 points difference.
So we've got 2 blockers in the box, starting out this jam for West Texas, 1 blocker in the box for Ark Valley. And there goes a Scarlet Renegade for West Texas out in front, and she is easily able to get lead jammer as Pain in the Bass gets drugged back, and Pain in the Bass finally makes it out of the pack. Miss Zero going to the box for West Texas. Smasher to Smithereens going to the box for Ark Valley as Pain in the Bass slides around for another 5 points. Scarlet Renegade says, I'm the lead jammer, I'm going to go ahead and call it off, but she scored 3 points.
And Scarlet called off the jam.
Pretty fast and physical game is what I'm seeing. A lot of dynamic blocking in the pack, a lot of inverted backward skating to block kind of that tornado cyclone blocking formation that everyone's talking about right now in play, especially from Ark Valley. But I've seen West Texas kind of adopt it as the game has went on.
No, absolutely. West Texas, the score is not indicative of their gameplay necessarily. Besides the penalties, I would say West Texas is really bringing it to Ark Valley. They have put together a very good defensive team, and they're really making it difficult for the Ark Valley jammers, but they're super fast, and they're able to get through those packs using some of that offense that you were talking about, Scar Trek, where they're clearing lanes, and their jammers are able to get through. So we've got a team timeout there by West Texas right now. They're trying to regroup.
Can give you a little bit more information as far as stats go for this game. Looks like Ark Valley has been relying, for the most part, on Pain in the Bass. She's taken the start for 13 jams, getting lead jammer 8 times for 62% lead jammer status. In fact, all 3 of the Ark Valley jammers that have really been playing heavily in this game have lead jammer percentages of over 60%. So again, it's going to show up on the scoreboard, stats like that. West Texas has been relying most heavily on Bam Bam Blocker, and she has a lead jammer percentage of 27%.
And they have Dreamy Racer on the line this time, and Dreamy Racer gets out, and she is their lead jammer, but Charlie Bronson, who is jamming for Ark Valley, got right behind her. 0 points for either team on that pass.
Compellingly jam call.
Did both jammers just stay out there?
It looks
Let's do it again.
Yeah, they definitely didn't break a sweat on that jam. It went about halfway around before it was called off. Both jammers broke out about the same time.
Score now 106-66. Been that way for a couple of jams. That's 40 points between the 2 teams. 19 minutes, 40 seconds left in the game.
And there goes Dream Eraser once again, and she hit instant replay on the last jam, and she got out real quick to be lead jammer. Unfortunately for Ark Valley, they weren't able to get out just as quick. All right, Dream Eraser is out there telling her pack to speed it up. She's able to slide through before Zoom Flume can hit the back of that pack and get 4 points on that pass.
So West Texas bringing it up to 70 points. Ark Valley still at 106.
Timeout for West Texas here. Timeout, West Texas.
So it sounds like West Texas called another team timeout.
Yeah, they've got about 19 minutes left in this game to turn around the score and take home the win if that's what they're aiming to do.
I'm pretty sure that's why they've come here to play the Mayday Mayhem tournament, to take home the win. Oh, and that reminds me too, there's a donate button on the ColoradoSports.TV website, isn't there, Scar Trek?
There is. If you look just down to the right below your screen, you'll see the donate button. Colorado Sports TV has been covering roller derby here in Colorado for over 3 years, and they've been doing it really at their own expense. And it's really important, if you're enjoying the feed, if you're looking forward to all the coverage this weekend, if you're inspired by the gameplay, by the video feed that you're receiving, if you even appreciate the archives that are available on ColoradoSports.TV, I would encourage you to hit the donate button and show them some love. Even $5, $10 will help defray the cost that they're incurring by covering both this event and other events that are going on this weekend around the state. So really do appreciate their coverage of roller derby in Colorado. and want to thank them for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. They've done an excellent job today setting up this venue for our viewing and listening pleasure today. So thanks, ColoradoSports.TV.
See what there is. Of course, everyone wants to have a...
This team timeout looks like it has turned into an official review as we have Smasher to Smithereens, team captain for Ark Valley out there. And they are consulting with the refs. And hopefully we'll see here in just a minute what issue it is that they are, that they're talking about.
Officials here in town for this tournament from all over the place. Some have traveled with teams, some have just made the commitment to be here. And we really do, again, appreciate all the officials who are giving their time.
Absolutely, and that definitely reminds me to say, you know, we haven't really said anything about the officials, the official crew out there too much today at all, Star Trek. You know why? Because they're doing an excellent job. I mean, all of the calls have seemed to be, you know, very, very good. This officiating crew obviously knows what they're doing out there. So we have, I guess they wanted a penalty, the no call on whatever it was that they were talking about. Looks like it stood. So we are going to start back with the action with Bam Bam Blocker in there, jamming for West Texas and Peyton the Bass. She finds that lane around the outside so many times, and she is able to turn on those afterburners and really get some speed going around out there. So Bam Bam Blocker still on her initial pass as Peyton the Bass goes in to score. She's able to slide through, falls down over Shadow Smith, who is going to roll out of bounds and head to the penalty box for a low block.
Bam Bam's still working on her first pass. Some killer defense out there from number 63, Killer B.
Yeah, Killer B and Natty Dread are out there
giving her a real
back.
hard time.
Yep, they knocked her out of bounds on the inside. She had to get recycled. And the Ark Valley defense to include number 30, Shook Me All Night out there, just stopping her. Oh, it looks like Natty Dread ends up putting a stop block on the West Texas jammer. And Killer P knocks her out of bounds on the outside once again. Here comes a Shadow Smith out of the penalty box to help West Texas maybe provide some offense there for their jammer. And finally, Bam Bam Blocker is able to get out as we have Peyton the Bass sliding through for another 4-point pass. She calls off the jam.
0 for West Texas on that one. That was a huge onslaught of points. Ark Valley now up to 120. West Texas still sitting at 70.
Yes, and all of those points with both jammers on the track. They made all those points the hard way, but yeah, Peyton the Bass was just an unstoppable force, and for whatever reason, Bam Bam Blocker, who is definitely a tough jammer, was not able to get out.
They did shut her down on that last one.
So we're gonna see Scarlet Renegade out there jamming for West Texas, and she's got one blocker to beat, Smasher to Smithereens, and she gets out. West Texas has the lead. Charlie Bronson pushed out of bounds around turn 2, has to try to make another effort at her first pass as Scarlet Renegade hits that pack on a scoring pass. So Charlie Bronson able to get out, and Scarlet Renegade on her first pass scores and calls off the jam. That's going to be 4 points for Scarlet Renegade.
So a nice one and done there for West Texas. Going to bring them up to 74 points now, 120 for Ark Valley High Rollers. Just over 16 minutes left in this game.
Peyton the Bass once again wearing the star for Ark Valley.
This will be her 14th or 15th jam. She's upwards of 40 points on the board for her team in this game.
She's definitely been performing for Ark Valley. Tries to take the inside line, doesn't get any love there from Scary Go Round that pushes her out of bounds. Makes another run at it and is able to get traction around the inside for lead jammer. Bombshell Bone still not able to make it out of the pack. She is pushing against a heavy 2-wall. That's Smash to Smithereens out there stopping her. Pain in the Bass slides around again, and she's on another scoring pass. There goes Pain in the Bass, is throwing another 5 points on the board for Arc Valley, as Bombshell Bone is waging war there up against Nacho Sleeves, who ends up having to let her go before the out of play is called. Bombshell Bone finally makes it out, as Pain in the Bass slides through for another scoring pass, and Nacho Sleeves heading to the penalty box for a clockwise block.
So that was 9 points on the jam for Pain in the Bass, bringing them up to 129, now to 74 for West Texas.
I'm going to see if they're back going.
So we have blocking for Arc Valley, Killer Bee, Natty Dread, and number 454, that's Lead Betty. And they're going to try to stop Dream Eraser. Ooh, they pushed her a little bit out on the inside. She was able to get her feet back under her. And 6'3", Killer Bee goes to the penalty box for a stop block. At the same time, we have the West Texas Jammer getting out. Zoom Flume jamming for Arc Valley, gets pushed out of bounds on the outside around turn 2. Oh, and there goes Dreamy Racer, hits the back of that pack. Skaters go down, no penalties are called. She's able to get by on another scoring pass, scores 4 points for the Arc Valley Jammer, could hit the back. Well, Scar Trek, it looks like West Texas definitely has not given up this game. They are out there and they are scoring points.
Yeah, and if they aren't able to take the win this time, I don't think they're going to go down without a fight.
Definitely not. Jamming again for West Texas is going to be Scarlet Renegade. And she tries to gain some purchase around the inside and is able to get out of the pack as lead jammer only because Pain in the Bass was pushed out of bounds. So we've got lead jammer for West Texas again. Pain in the Bass finally makes it out. Scarlet Renegade slides around. She's juking back and forth, ends up getting pushed out of bounds on the straightaway by Lead Betty. And there goes Pain in the Bass, hitting the back of that pack, is not able to score any more points there before Scarlet Renegade calls off the jam.
Called it off from her knees there, out of bounds. She took a big hit and decided it wasn't going to be quite worth it.
Yeah, no, definitely good awareness there from Scarlet Renegade. So we're going to see Dream Eraser wearing the star once again for West Texas on this jam, and she's going to be up against the Arc Valley Jammer. Who do we have there?
Jeez. Charlie Bronson, I believe.
There's Charlie Bronson once again.
4 on 3 in the pack in favor of Arc Valley.
Charlie Bronson goes down, and so she was gaining some speed in there, but ended up hitting her knees, and that allowed Dream Eraser to get out and take the lead. But Charlie Bronson was able to squirt out of the front of that pack, and Dream Eraser decides, nah, you know what, I'm not going to try this one.
With her teammates there in the back of the pack, it would have been a risky move, so smart call up there on the part of West Texas.
They're going to reset and try again. This time they're going to be using...
Looks like 206 for West Texas.
Yeah.
That's
Bombshell Bone is out there jamming for them. And is that Zoom Flume that I see?
It is. Arc Valley's really stuck pretty closely to their 3-jammer rotation. They've used number 30 Shook Me All Night a couple of times, but otherwise we've seen a pretty strict rotation under the star for Arc Valley.
Bombshell up ahead. She's got to fight it out against Smasher to Smithereens out there in front. And then that's going to be Nacho Sleaze. They end up recycling up to the front and sucking her back in with 3 blockers. This jam has gone all the way to turn 3 before Zoom Flume is able to get out to be lead. They're still holding Bombshell Bone back. She is not able to get out. She's still on her initial pass. Nacho Sleaze just bringing it to her in the front of that pack. Ooh, and Bombshell Bones going out for blocking with her head.
Yeah, she really had a low stance, just kind of headbutting her way through the pack, and unfortunately that will get you a penalty as a jammer.
Yeah, absolutely. She's low, and Nacho Sleaze is super tall, and so that combination can lead to that little headbutting out there. So we have Zoom Flume on a power jam for Ark Valley. Offense being played, a nice screen by Nacho Sleaze pushes Randy Reckless out and allows Zoom Flume to get around for another 5-point pass.
And like so many times in the early part of the first half, we are at a 4-on-2 pack advantage for Ark Valley right now.
Yep.
And on a power jam on top of that. So this is the kind of situation that got West Texas into their scoring trouble that they find themselves in now.
Yep, so Randy Reckless is able to put a little bit of pressure on Zoom Flume, but not enough, as we see Bombshell Bone being released from the penalty box. But she's got to face a tough four-wall.
Back on the floor, Bombshell Bone.
Bombshell Bone able to get out, but then she gets sucked back up again. And there goes Mary Skankster, is just putting huge shoulders on her.
And Prof D, I think we're reaching the point in the game with under 10 minutes left that we might be seeing some of the altitude starting to take effect. As this sixth player on both teams, Ark Valley with this advantage of altitude training at over 7,000 feet, and West Texas coming to Colorado for the first time dealing with about 5,000 feet of elevation where we are here in Loveland. So seeing them get a little more tired, and hopefully they can adjust to that as the weekend continues.
Yeah, that definitely could be taking effect. They're slowing down a little bit, and so you know who's not slowing down? That number 30 is not slowing down, and that shook me all night. Oh, she tried to take herself out of the game, but was able to recover there after she fell down. But yeah, Ark Valley is just dominating the defense of this game, and they are not letting Scarlet Renegade get any traction whatsoever. She is bouncing around back on that four wall. There goes Killer B. Charlie Bronson blocking this time, is able to push her out of bounds. And there goes number 30, shook me all night on another scoring pass. They have to let her go.
Thought we were going to have a cutting penalty there, but it looks like Scarlet still in the jam.
Scarlet Renegade able to save it, still trying to get out on her initial pass, and she finally makes it. That was a hard-fought pass.
Shook me taking some heat there at the back of the pack from West Texas.
Yep.
She is in there picking points up.
So Scarlet Renegade on her scoring pass now, and let's see if she was able to get past. Yep, looks like one Ark Valley blocker before Shook Me All Night was able to call that jam off.
So it looks like it was 12-1 in that jam. Score for Ark Valley 162, West Texas 82, and we're at 7 minutes 30 seconds left in the game.
Yeah, and again with both jammers on the track, so those points were all made the hard way. The Ark Valley defense really brought it on that time. We had Killer B back there, and she was putting some huge hits. Natty Dread. So this time we had Killer B, we got Lead Betty, and Charlie Bronson up in the front of that pack, putting big hits on Dream Eraser, allowing a Pain in the Bass to get through. There goes Dream Eraser. She is going to catch her.
She does have some speed.
Pain in the Bass says, nah, I'm going to see about grabbing a point or two before calling it off. And yep, she grabs one before Dream Eraser. And there goes West Texas with another team timeout.
Just 6 minutes and 42 seconds left in this game.
West Texas trying to regroup and see about what they can do to counteract here. But I see the West Texas captain and their coaches out there in the middle. Look like that they might have been getting ready to call for an official review, but none happened. So this is going to remain a team timeout, and West Texas is on their bench talking about their strategy, while Ark Valley is waiting to take the line. They're talking about their strategy. They're feeling pretty good out there, Scar Trek. They got Smasher to Smithereens is directing traffic out there, along with Nacho Sleaze, who has just done a very outstanding job on the front of this pack today.
Yeah, Ark Valley has really opened up the score. and shown that they're here to play this weekend.
Yeah, they are indeed. We've got Scarlet Renegade on the line, jamming once again for West Texas.
And that looks like Zoom Flume, number 5 for Arc Valley.
And a timeout is whistled. Next whistle starts the jam.
West Texas lined up in the front.
Wild Wookie out there trying to quarterback the defense for West Texas. Does a pretty good job because they're able to push Zoom Flume out of bounds on the inside. Ooh, and there goes Scarlet Renegade, and she is able, no benefits by the new rule again. There on the outside as she ends up getting pushed out of bounds. And while trying to re-enter, she straddled for a little while. Zoom Flume.
No pack was called, and that was what got Zoom Flume through there.
Yep, Zoom Flume on the no pack as Scary Go Round goes to the penalty box for destruction.
We saw in that one that Bam Bam blocker, also a very skilled defensive player as well for West Texas. She was out there blocking in that jam, making life hard for Arc Valley.
She is indeed. Wild Wookie number 55 for West Texas once again quarterbacking their 3 blocker defense as Dream Eraser one more time is able to get through for Lee Jammer, but Pain in the Bass has those afterburners that she puts on. And so Dream Eraser is going to try to get in here, see if she can score a few points. Decides, nah, you know what, I'm not going to call off the jam.
And we just got a note from our production team that track 2 is back up and running. You can tune into track 2 if you were interrupted in your feed for that game.
It was just the scoreboard.
Oh, it was just the scoreboard. I'm sorry. So just the scoreboard overlay over on the other track is back up and running.
So with just under 5 minutes, we have Scarlet Renegade jamming once again for West Texas.
And I think that's Charlie Bronson.
Charlie Bronson wearing the star for Arc Valley. And Charlie Bronson tries for the outside, then for the inside. There's a big pile up around turn 2. Everybody gets up. Shadow Smith may have sustained a bit of an injury, having a hard time getting up around the outside, but she is limping herself back into the game as she tries to put a little bit of a hit on the Arc Valley Jammer as she comes around.
A cut called on number 777 Scarlet Renegade is going to send the West Texas Jammer to the box for another penalty.
Yeah, so number 5 Zoom Flume and Arc Valley will be starting the next jam on a power jam. We have Nacho Sleaze in the box still, and 2 blockers for West Texas in the box as well. Oh, and there goes Zoom Flume as she is able to slide around the 2 remaining blockers for West Texas, who easily is out for lead.
West Texas down on 2 blockers, it looks like.
Pack advantage Arc Valley as Randy Reckless goes head-to-head at the front of that pack with Zoom Flume, is not able to get her out of bounds, goes back, resets up. We have Iron Fist Ghost and number 6'7" Randy Reckless in the front trying to stop once again Scarlet Renegade. Out one more time for a back block, so that's going to keep number 5 Zoom Flume on the track. She has got lead and continues to retain the ability to call off the jam if she needs to. But right now she's just worried about scoring points, as she's able to slide around Randy Reckless.
Yeah, great clearing efforts once again by her offensive powerhouse blockers out there in the pack.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got Lead Betty out there, and that looks like Mary Skankster, and they're just out there clearing lanes. But Nacho Sleaze one more time to the penalty box for a forearm.
We've seen her go out a number of times, possibly taking the cake for penalties on the Ark Valley squad, but she is making a huge impact on the game, and usually those are the players that find themselves in the box.
Yeah, she's definitely playing a physical game out there. All right, so we got a clockwise block. Is going to take Randy Reckless out of the game, as Zoom Flume obviously is a little winded after making several scoring passes. Scarlet Renegade back on the track, and that was a huge scoring jam for Ark Valley.
Yeah, right now on the board it's showing 30 points on that jam for Ark Valley.
They have hit the 200-point mark, and so now they're playing a game of maintenance here, but it's not keeping them from scoring points, that's for sure.
We're looking at
Just over a minute left in the game, so we're looking at 1 or 2 more jams.
We see the matchup again between Dream Eraser and Pain in the Bass one more time. Dream Eraser has to beat Queen Labicha and is able to do it, but Pain in the Bass, if she doesn't get out there for lead, she is definitely forcing that call off as she's breathing down Dream Eraser's neck. Dream Eraser did not break a sweat on that pass, so she decides that she's going to stay with the star. Pain in the Bass says, well, if you can keep the star, I'm going to keep the star too, and we're going to see the same matchup again in this jam.
I still have to give Matt kudos to
32 seconds left on the period clock, so unless this is a really quick one, this could be our last jam of the game. 200 for Ark Valley, 86 for West Texas. Ark Valley holding the defense in the back.
Oh, and there goes Dream Eraser, and she is out for lead jammer. All right, we've got Nacho Sleaze going to the box once again, but she doesn't have to worry about it because this game is almost over. Dream Eraser hits that pack, and she calls off the jam before Pain in the Bass can score anything. She scores 3. So how are we doing for time here?
Looks like we have expired, and that jam was called off with about a minute and a half left in it. So with no period clock time remaining, I think this will be the end. No timeout was called. Just going to wait for the official final word, but a great showing here by Ark Valley High Rollers. First half a lot closer than the second half. West Texas struggling with penalties. The one that I noticed the most was clockwise blocking. They really got a number of those calls, and that's a small adjustment to technique, and really those blocks can become impactful on the game rather than impactful on the game in the wrong way. So
yeah, they did a good job by cutting down their penalties in the second half, but just not quite enough. But both of these teams really brought it here today, and they've opened up the Mayday Mayhem tournament in the right way. So Ark Valley has taken their lap, and on track 1 here, the next game is...
It's going to be Slaughterhouse Derby Girls, our hosts, versus BCR, which is Babe City Rollers, hailing from, I believe, Minnesota, right?
Yeah, so stay tuned for the next bout at track 1. So for Colorado Sports TV, I'm Professor D.
My name's Scar Trek, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks.
So we'll see you back here.